Hi everybody, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about deductible season and patient account balances. We are rapidly approaching the end of the first quarter of the year, and that means that we have almost survived the bulk of deductible season. Deductible season is my kind of quote definition, and a lot of people pick this up too, is from January 1st through either the first full quarter of the year to quarter and a half, depending on your specialty and volume of patients, because that is when most patients' deductibles start over for the year. And that means most of your AR that is outstanding for the first quarter, quarter and a half, is all dependent upon patients paying their bills. Because their deductibles aren't met, it means that they are responsible for paying out of pocket until that deductible is met. This is very, very stressful times for a lot of private practice owners because you are relying on your cash flow from patients directly. It is nice if you're in a specialty where you offer preventive services or services that don't get applied to patients' deductibles, but a lot of specialties don't have that luxury. I always thought in primary care to try to get as many people on the schedule of getting their annual preventive exams in the first part of the year, so you can rely on those payments from insurances to counteract all of the sick visits and checkup visits for any kind of medications that would go to deductible responsibility patients' pockets to pay to kind of help you pay those bills. Now is the time to really be looking at your most recent AR, not that you shouldn't be all the time, but really honing in and really trying to collect those patient balances on those accounts that have accrued since January 1st. There are also a lot of people whose deductibles start over in October with the fiscal year. If they're like federal employees, state employees, a lot of them October 1st is the beginning of that year. So you might even have some older than 90-day AR patient balances from that as well. But this is the time to really be on your staff about checking patient balances when patients call the schedule, letting them know they have a balance, asking them how they would like to pay for those balances, collecting when they check in, making sure even more that they're taking co-pays when they check patients in, and really focusing on that, because the longer you get away from the original due of that money from the patient, the less likely you are to collect it. So if it was 30 days ago that the patient had their balance due, you want to try to collect that as soon as possible. Then when you get to that 60-day mark, it's going to get a little bit more difficult. 90 days, you're really starting to hope on that payment. And then when you start getting past 90 days is when patients most likely are not going to be paying their bill until you start really calling them, sending them extra letters instead of just their statements. And it's just one of those things. If you look on the AMA website, there's statistics showing the longer you have a patient balance sitting on your AR, the less likely you're going to get it paid. So more than ever right now is the time to make sure that you're making it a little bit extra effort, even calling patients. Maybe you don't normally call patients yet on a balance 30, 60 days, but if you have the bandwidth and you have the ability, I would start calling and asking patients, setting them up on payment plans, even if it's a high balance, but at least letting them know that you have a balance in our practice and we need to collect on it in some way. The more you let patients come into your practice without acknowledging that they have a balance on their account, the kind of more brave, I guess, they get on coming back and racking up that bill, because they're like, oh, well, they didn't say anything, so it must not be a big deal. It's just kind of a natural human rationalization, I guess, that we do for ourselves. And I don't think there's any malice behind it. I just think it's, you know, funds are tight right now, especially with how expensive everything has gotten and the recession. And I think that, you know, people have a hard time already paying for their groceries and their necessities in life. So, you know, if you don't mention that bill when they come in, they're just like relieved, and they just kind of put it off until they have to. And unfortunately, we know that a lot of people don't prioritize their medical bills anymore. They'd rather pay for vacations and the fancy electronics and stuff like that. So it's really important that you have a strong process in your office and workflow for your staff to be having those conversations with patients, checking the AR, making sure you're staying on top of it, because like I said, right now is the time. I'm sure you're feeling the pinch of not as much cash flow, and you really need to buckle down on those patients that owe you money. If you have been through deductible seasons before and some kind of workflow has worked well in your office and you're seeing an increase in patient payments, if you could share that in the comments with your colleagues, that would be so appreciative. I would be very appreciative anyway, because I think that we can help one another together brainstorm on how to tackle this. If you have any other ideas, please leave that as well. If you're a staff member or you're a patient yourself and things that might help you or be a good approach that you would be open to, share that as well. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.